And then that was like the first single that we did. And so we went out on that tour, and I remember the first show we played, I want to say it was like in Omaha, but it was like a arena. And I was just like, what in the world are we doing here?
All right, here with the man, D Money himself, Darius Fitzgerald, drummer, photographer, does video stuff. We go pretty far back from when I moved to Nashville.
We
So we'll
do.
get that through. But yeah, also one of my daughter's favorite bands, your bands.
Yes, honored.
She goes through that YouTube on the TV and just, this one, Dad, this one. That's all you guys.
That's awesome.
You guys and Toby, which is really funny. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah. No joke. She always wants to watch Toby's his Tiny Desk, like all the time. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad lineup right there.
Yeah, dude. Well, first of all, how are you doing, man? How are you holding up?
Man,
up to?
I'm doing good. I feel like this whole thing is kind of weird, especially from like a touring perspective. It just like shut everything down.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it's bringing people together in a different way than like life would have been. Like this whole shift is like making stuff like this happen, and like forcing me to be more intentional than I would have ever been.
Yeah.
With people and connection in general.
Yeah, for sure. Would you guys have been on tour right now?
When we look at the calendar, we haven't deleted everything. We will be on the road. We were supposed to have a show in Oxford, Mississippi tomorrow.
Nice. Well,
today, yeah.
You're not on the road, but you're here talking on this. So just yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, it's been cool to kind of see different, artists, but just, even businesses and stuff, like just getting creative and trying new things. And so it has been kind of encouraging in a weird way.
Right. I think I saw Travis Scott was doing like concerts in Fortnite today. And I was like, dang.
Really?
That's crazy, yeah.
That's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. All right, well, let's start at the beginning, man. Where you're from? Obviously, I know your family and stuff, but
yeah,
where you grew up, and we'll start there and then get into kind of when you started playing music.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. Essentially, I'm like, so my dad did the thing of like coming to Nashville for music and then stuff falling apart. So then that brought us here. So I didn't have to do that essentially. So I think that definitely shifts how you view music. Because you grow up or I was fortunate to grow up like going to studios and seeing like big like productions and like pro stuff all the time. So just like when that's the first thing you see and associate with music, it's just like what you think about. At least that's how I took it. Mm-hmm. And so when I was young, I played drums at church, classic thing.
Yeah.
We were at a church where there was like probably 7 kids in line trying to play drums. So like I would get in for one song and they're like, all right, next kid. It's like, dang, okay. And the kids choir or whatever. And for some reason I wanted to be a music producer really young. Like I remember my parents set me up with like a trumpet player from our church, and he let me like record a song for my birthday when I was like 9, and I was like, dang, this is tight. He had the keyboards and the computers, and I remember being so amazed because he had 2 monitors, and the mouse would go from one screen to the next. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is next level. I want to do that.
That's awesome. I didn't realize your dad did music. What was he kind of doing at the time?
He was doing Christian rap back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, at awesome. Liberty. So they went to Liberty University, and they saw like Toby Mac. He did the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because they're like in school together, and they're like, all right, we're gonna move to Nashville too. And then stuff just didn't pop off. But yeah. I'm grateful because it got us here, and that gave me like a good foot in the door. But also, like, as I'm getting older, I'm seeing and like starting to hear more about like what they were doing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it actually sounds kind of tight. like I know I don't give you credits all the time, or I don't give him credit all the time, but
yeah,
like they had like stuff popping on the radio and stuff, and like supposedly things were gonna happen on like mainstream radio and like Christian radio. But then it just kind of fizzled out somehow. Classic story. Like, I've heard it 1,000 times, but yeah. So that was his deal.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started playing drums? You said 9 was when you saw the monitors, but
yeah. I remember getting my first like play snare drum for Christmas when I was probably like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I was and busted through that thing because it has like that thin plastic drum head. Yeah. It lasted maybe like a week tops.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I remember it was a vibe. I was like, yes, I'm a drummer. And I was just like beating on stuff all the time. But I was like low key late because I didn't get my first real kit to like have until I was 16. So it was kind of like spring.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you kind of started like really playing later.
Yeah. When the band stuff started kind of popping off, that's when I like actually played consistently.
Yeah, I want to get into that because I feel like you're in a band. We'll talk about it, but with your sisters. But I think the way that you guys started is very interesting. So I want to get there. But before there, so this time you're playing, you're into music, obviously. You're playing a little bit. What was kind of the stuff that you were like listening to? Like if I went back to little Darius and said, hey, what do you like?
I actually made a playlist of that music recently, so it's still fresh.
Sick.
We were like super sheltered, man. So all we could listen to was like contemporary gospel music. So like Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin.
Nice.
And then Motown stuff, which by Motown I low-key just mean like the Jackson 5, and I feel like that only snuck in because my dad loved it so much. So that was like my bread and butter growing up, which in hindsight is like kind of tight because the Jackson 5, like when you break it down now, they're doing some like cool stuff, and then like Kirk obviously is like a genius, and Fred Hammond, like it makes sense that my ears are the way they are now because of like what I grew up listening to.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that was it really. Like pretty bad. Like any road trip was Fred Hammond because Dad was driving and that was his jam. And then any like Saturday morning like cleaning session was Kirk Franklin because Mom would just be blessing that. Yeah. And then as we got older, it transitioned into like the contemporary CCM stuff. Mom liked that. But then when we start like being able to pick our own music, that's when like the floodgates open. I was like, it's a whole new world, baby. Like there's so much music. I remember like my dad actually introduced me to Kanye West not on accident, but he was doing some sermon about the Jesus Walks song.
Really?
And I don't remember his angle on it, but I remember I was like, dang. That's tight. What is that? And then I remember he caught me. I was like in a bookstore, and you remember where they had like you could scan a CD.
Yeah, listen to it.
Yeah, I like took it and scanned it. He was like, "What you listening to?" I was like, "Nothing." Like, you introduced it to me. You gave me a little taste.
You got like Gold Digger on in there.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense with your drumming like style and how you play. That
Mm,
you listen to like gospel music and stuff when you were
mm,
younger. You know, like
yeah.
that's cool. So, what was the first band that you feel like you really got into? That you know, it was like this is my thing, and I like these guys, or group, or whatever.
Honestly, uh, probably Colony House or like Caleb back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's kind of shifted our vibe as a band because we heard them and wanted to just be like them. Them and like Alabama Shakes
Yeah.
were like uh huge like sound shifters for us. Uh yeah. I was like, even though I kind of knew the Colony House boys a little bit, I
Mhm.
just felt like a fan for a while. Uh yeah.
Yeah. When were they kind of start? Was that like 2009, 10? Or was it like around, or maybe even a little later, huh?
Yeah, probably somewhere in there. Maybe even a little bit earlier.
It's
Because they
crazy.
started in like high school for them, and they're like a couple years older than me.
Yeah. That's crazy that was already like 10 years ago that they've been.
Sheesh, man, I don't feel old enough to have like legit memories from 15 years ago, but I do. You know what I mean? Like when I can say, "Oh, 15 years ago, I was doing this," I'm like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Um, cool. So you're playing, you're listening. Like you said, you kind of know Caleb and Will and stuff. And then this is the interesting part because you and your two sisters, and I think there was more people at the time. You can tell, but you
Yeah,
guys just kind of decided to start a band, and none of you really played instruments, right? I mean, you guys kind of played, but like it was like you learned as you were starting a band.
oh yeah, 1,000%. Which I guess in hindsight is funny. They were like, "Let's start a band." Also, when you learn how to play.
Yeah.
um, but that's pretty much it. Like we grew up singing a little bit, but not like gospel, like belting singing.
Hmm.
It just was like this is like a very Nashville things, but people would do kids records and we would sing on them when we were growing
Gotcha.
up. So we were kind of used to that environment. Um, and people always said, well, y'all should be a band. And we were like, nah, that's like everybody in Nashville is in the band, so we're not gonna do it. And then Jasmine, our cousin, and Zandy, my sister, she did they wrote a song together, and people were like, dang, that's kind of good. Y'all should be in a band. And finally, we were like, all right. So I don't even remember exactly like the exact start of it, but it felt like, in memory at least, Zandy sent like a text or maybe even like a I chat like AIM message and was like, hey, I feel like we should start a band. They were like, all right. And they were like, we need to get some other people. So we had a discussion on like who else to ask to be in the band. And then that was like the start of it. You're like, all right, we're a band, so let's practice.
And how old were you at this point?
Maybe like 16, 17.
So that is when you like really started playing drums.
Yeah, or maybe like 15, because it was like a little bit of time without a kid, just
Gotcha.
kind of putting stuff together. And then one of our band members, our ex-band member, she's not in the band anymore, but his dad was like, hey, you need a real kid. I was like, okay. And he was like, he had like connections at Yamaha, so that like Yamaha Club Custom that I still have. You're like, here you go. I was like, dang.
Nice.
Thank you.
Because I don't know how far, because how I met you guys was I knew Jazz,
hmm
and you guys were already a band at this point.
It was still pretty fresh though.
Okay,
Like the show we did with you guys was probably show like 3 or 4 tops.
gotcha. And that was the first one with just the four of you, right? Because at first there
Right.
were like 7 people.
Yeah. There's a lot of us. There's 6 of us, and then people kind of fall away, which is like a classic band thing.
Yeah. Okay, so when it was the six, who was playing what? You were playing drums then.
I was playing drums. Zandy was on guitar. Jasmine was just singing. Lexi was on keys, and like she didn't know keys at all, but she has good ears, so she was like figuring it out.
She wasn't
Tanner,
playing bass yet.
no, not at all. Like didn't even think about playing bass. Tanner was on bass, and then Carly, she was singing / on guitar too. So we had tons of guitars, more than you need, and yeah.
And you recorded, right? You put out like some songs at that time.
We had an EP, yeah, and I don't. It's not on the internet anymore. I don't think. We're like kind of far enough removed from it now where we can release it and it's not like super embarrassing. But I'm gonna let a little more like a little more time go, and then when we have a few more records under our belt, they're like, "Hey, look at where we started from." You know what I mean?
That's amazing. I think I saw an interview with you guys where you didn't even say the name. You were like, "Yeah, we're just not gonna. We just want the name that won't be named."
No, because the internet is forever, and people can Google stuff and find stuff still.
So funny. Okay, so this time you guys are doing this. Like, how long did it last? I don't even. How long did it last with that kind of lineup? Do you remember? Or like
the six of us?
Yeah.
Maybe a year.
Okay.
Tops.
Gotcha.
Because I think, yeah, Carly, I think it was like our senior year, and she wanted to go to YWAM. She did that thing.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, that makes sense as far as like starting the band like junior year, and then she left senior year.
Sweet. So you guys are doing that, and then you're really getting into drums. I mean, you were always, but now you have a kit.
I have a kit, yeah.
So you're playing, and then what was the shift? Well, what kind of music were you into at this time? Was it still kind of the same stuff?
So John Mayer was a big influence. Colony House, Alabama Shakes, and like Mumford and Sons, because all that stuff was popping off too. So like at the start of it, we were kind of like, we're just gonna be like an acoustic vibe band.
Nice.
And then I got a full kit, and that kind of shifted things a little bit. And then Zandy started playing electric guitar, and then that's when we like took the plunge and we're like, okay, we're like a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And so we did that. We just kind of like dove in on that world for a little bit.
Yeah. So that kind of brings, really, I mean, that was quick. I'm sure a lot of stuff happened more than that, but into when we played that show, that was forever ago now.
Yeah.
I think that was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Dang.
Crazy. But that was, so you guys made the shift to just the 4 of you and
right.
started playing bass. So what kind of happened there? What was the like? People just
so
like you said.
Bass player, yeah, and we were like, I think because growing up in Nashville, we were exposed to almost too much for our own good. Because in our heads, we were just like, okay, we don't have a bass player. We'll just hire a bass player for every show that we do. Nice. And like, that is just not feasible for like a starting band at all. And then one of our friends, Taylor Jones, he came to one of our rehearsals because he would just like, we just have people come in and like tell us what to do to get better. He came and was listening. and he saw just the four of us, and he was like, "This right here is special. So like, do whatever you need to do to keep it just the four of y'all. Like, this is a vibe." He's like, "Lexi, you start playing bass." And Jasmine, he told Jasmine, like, "You start playing keys." Okay. And I feel like after he left, we were like, all right. And our hardest song to play on bass at the time was Money. And we were like, "Lexi, learn this." And she did.
That's crazy that Money, it was around at that time.
Yeah. And she learned it. And we were like, this could work. I remember like we were literally like in a circle. Jasmine was on keys. Lexi was across. And I was like looking around like, this actually like surprisingly is working out way better. Because like Lexi had literally not like touched a bass at all. She played guitar for like a couple months because she wanted to be like Allie and AJ. And then after that just like dropped it. And so she had like that bare minimum, but other than that, like no bass experience.
And was that at your guys' that rehearsal spot you used to rehearse at, like back?
Yep, the White House.
Yeah. You guys let us rehearse there a few times too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So many memories there. So much time spent there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So at this time, we knew each other, and we were kind of hanging out a little bit. But the thing that was crazy is you guys would rehearse all the time. Like you were like putting in work. Like it was like all you guys did.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like we did like 3 days a week, sometimes like 10-hour rehearsals. And it wouldn't just be like shedding the whole time, but writing and making up set lists and really just like forming our own vibe, which I think that was super important. Just like how we were figuring out how to work with each other, really. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that kind of like locked everything in.
Yeah, and really learning your instruments too. Like
that's very true.
You were the most experienced. I feel like.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I knew nothing, man. I remember like not knowing how to tune the drums at all, and like, yeah, everything was just like a mystery to me. Like I remember someone would come in and change my drum and be like, "Dang, how'd you get it to sound like that?" It's like, all you gotta do is this. I'm like, okay. And then I'd mess it up and not know how to get it back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny to think about. We were like super green.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, what happened was we started a band and we were gonna play the first show, and then you guys jumped on with us. Which now that you guys obviously got much bigger than we did, our claim to fame is that you opened up for us for that show. Anytime someone brings you guys up, I'm like, oh man, they opened up for us back today.
It's true. And the funniest thing that I think about that night is Zandy had this like line 6 amp, and then Eric offered to let her use, like, he might have had like a deluxe or like a Blues Junior or something like that. Yeah. And she was like, "Nah, I'll use my line 6." So in hindsight, I was just like, wow, that just shows how little we really knew.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, I mean that obviously was super fun, and that was kind of that was the first show with just the four of you guys. And it was, awesome and a super fun night. And then we played some more shows together, down the road, but that was kind of like, everyone was kind of getting good at their, like, I remember Zandy's like guitar playing just kept getting better and better. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. And, we were friends with you guys. So it was like, we were kind of seeing it firsthand. So what happened after that? We are like that kind of time. You guys were just kind of playing local shows around town, right?
Yeah, local shows. And I feel like sometime after that, we came up with this master plan to be like, hey, we're gonna put in work for 6 months, playing no shows, and then come out and do like a big reveal and be like, yo, we're good now.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I think it was after that show or somewhere after that.
Mm.
We decided to do that. But we had like a couple shows within that. One was like a festival, a tiny festival, which so many memories because we played it like 2 times or something. And then the other was like opening at Mercy Lounge, and that one like A&R was there, and low key, that's like kind of what turned everything else up after that.
I think I was at that one. You guys played you played what song was it? You played like a stripped down version almost. Or something, right? Was it
It
at
might
that?
have been Christmas joint.
Uh,
Was it our song or was it like a cover?
I just remember you guys playing there like early on at Mercy.
Uh-huh.
So it might have been that one. But I thought you guys did like an acoustic thing. Like not the whole set, but like one song.
We probably did. We probably did Sail, like acoustic.
Oh yeah, you would do that, right? Like Sail
Yeah.
would be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And in hindsight, it's like you can't compare. You just know like what's happening to you. You know what I mean? When stuff is happening.
Yeah.
So it felt normal to us to a certain extent until everybody was looking at us like, this does not happen anymore. Like you don't just play shows and A&Rs show up and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
So that was the show that kind of changed it for you guys.
pretty much, yeah.
That
Like none
early
of
on, it's so crazy.
record label was like not even on our radar, 0%.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had someone coming in and like to help us, and they're like, do you guys want a record deal? And we were like, nah, not really. Like we had heard so many horror stories of record labels, so you're like, that's not really the vibe we're like trying to look after. I mean, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not like trying to chase it down.
Yeah.
And essentially, they came to us and were like, hey, what's up?
And you guys had played like what 4 or 5 shows? Is that? Like,
yeah.
it's crazy.
And in hindsight, like we've looked at footage, like on our long drives, we'll like pull stuff up, and we're just like, why did they sign us? It's like you don't realize how much you can grow until you look back, and you're like, dang, we were like not popping at all. But
That's amazing.
it's all something.
Yeah. So what was next? So you played that show. There was an A&R guy there, and then I felt like you guys kicked it for a little while until you signed with the label, right? Wasn't there like a time kind of in between?
Yeah. Well, so I think we did that show in December because I remember playing a Christmas cover at it.
Okay.
And then by February, we had like the official papers for like a record deal.
That's crazy.
But then it was like a year of just doing the whole like essentially development stage,
Gotcha.
which we didn't know that that's what it was happening, but it was just like co-write after co-write after co-write and practicing and practicing and practicing and like hearing that song's not good enough, that song's not good enough, that song's not good enough. Yeah. And so to go from like strictly doing it for fun to that was like a big shift because we only knew how to do it one way, which that was just like we do it with our friends. And I think in hindsight, like we rolled into the record label that way. Like, okay, we're all homies then. And it was like a helpful and a hindrance. It's helpful because it's good to build those relationships, but a hindrance just because we were like, we didn't know what we were doing. So we just rolled in like wide-eyed and like bushy tail, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, so we did like it was probably a year of just, it wasn't nothing, but it wasn't what we thought was going to happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably what I'm thinking of then, because I just remember it was like, yeah, they're signed or they're getting signed, but you guys weren't like doing anything like to the
Yeah.
out, like playing out or anything.
Right. Right. Yeah, it was super weird. And towards the end, like we started playing like at Grimy or not Grimey's, the basement and like doing like the New Faces nights and stuff like that.
I think we played with you. We played at the basement, like us
Yeah,
at that time.
such a classic spot. One of my favorite little spots in Nashville.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
many memories.
So was that, you were kind of talking about it, was that kind of tough, like on you guys as far as like that year and coming in and, obviously you're excited that you just signed
Yeah,
a record deal, but then it's like, okay, what are we doing now?
yeah. It was tough on multiple reasons. I think one just because of like expectations.
Hmm.
Even as like wise as we thought we were because we had been around the music industry all our lives and stuff like that. It's just like a different game being in it.
Yeah.
Um, and so we kind of thought, and honestly, I think the label probably thought too that it would be a quicker process of finding the first couple songs, throwing it on the radio, and like hitting the road.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, we were, I don't want to say tighter with things than we should have been because I'm grateful for like learning,
Mhm.
but we were like maybe more stubborn than we should have been at the top. Uh, we were young, and I think we thought we knew more than we actually did. So that played a role in it. And then two, nobody had seen a band like ours before. Like we rolled in like four black kids,
Mm.
essentially playing like as a rock and roll group at the top of this.
Yeah.
And so there obviously are like trailblazers who have done it, but in Nashville that was just like an earth shattering concept.
Mm.
And then on top of that, we were at a label, like a Christian label, but we didn't necessarily want to do like Christian music.
Yeah.
So there's like that divide as well of like, well, all of our like relationships are built in this world. And you're like, well, we're not trying to go down that rabbit hole right now. We're trying to do over here. And they're like, okay. So it was like an uphill battle from the jump,
Gotcha.
which is cool hindsight because it's like we built muscles that we couldn't have any other way. But
Yeah.
in the moment, it was just like a little defeating to feel like everything was happening so fast, and then you hit a wall. It was like, whoa! Like, I
Yeah.
kind of thought this is just our tempo now. Like we were just like moving and shaking, like, and it's the only thing up from here.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I didn't think about that. Having to kind of sit through that, I guess. Or not, I mean, like you said, you were doing stuff, but it just wasn't, maybe it didn't look like what you thought it would,
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah. I remember so many conversations of being like, "All right, so you're signed. Like, so what's next?" And I'm like, "I don't even know."
I go to meetings.
Yeah, I go to meetings now. We talk about like branding.
Yeah,
And
dude, crazy. I don't even know if you know this, but when you guys, because in that period you changed your name, um, and we got called in to the same label, so we had a manager at the time, and we
mm-hmm,
said, "Hey, you're going to go in and talk to an A&R guy at a label. He wants
mm-hmm,
to, talk through maybe development or something." And now
mm-hmm.
that I'm hearing you, this makes sense because I obviously didn't realize that's what was happening with you guys. But
Yeah,
we went in there we went and met them, and we went into one of their offices, and your guys' names were written on the board. And
really.
we were like, do you know? And he was your guys' guy. I can't think of his name. Brandon?
Senga? Andrew?
Maybe. Andrew. Yeah. And it was a trip, and we were like, oh, that's crazy. It was like so strange, but then the same kind of thing happened where, yeah, I mean, it ended up not working out, but that's just, I didn't realize that, for that year, that's what, you guys were kind of in that development phase
Yeah.
of things, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously from someone on the outside, it's just, you don't really know what's going on. So you're like, oh yeah,
Right.
they're signed, but. And then, okay, so that's crazy. So you're going through that, and then when did you put out the first single? Because was it Trouble was the first one, or
No,
was
I wish it was.
what was the first one?
It's a song called "Hey." Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I do
Did you get
remember.
the music video?
No, I wasn't. I didn't go to the music, but it was like orange, right? With the
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that it was like kind of like it had like this almost like a Kiss, like 70s Kiss, not 80s Kiss. But I remember it had almost like a Kiss gang vocal type vibe.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So that was the first one, and so we did all that. Essentially, it was 2015/16 was when up just like chilling, and then I saw this poster of like Lecrae and Switchfoot going on a tour, and I like this tour is like we should open for this, and I sent it to our A&R as a joke and was like, we need to get on this tour, and he just like laughed it off, but somehow like a video of us playing got to the right hands, and it's still a mystery of like who exactly did it because a lot of people claim to have done it, but it got to somebody somehow, and we like got offered that tour.
Crazy.
And so the label was like, this is a great opportunity. Get in the studio and make a song. And so we got in the studio, recorded a song, recorded a music video in like 48 hours to have it turned in time for this tour. And then that was like the first single that we did.
Dang.
And so we went out on that tour. And I remember the first show we played, I want to say it was like in Omaha, but it was like a arena. And I was just like, what in the world are we doing here? Like, how did this happen? I'm confused. But yeah, and that was like the first tour we ever did, and that prepped like the first music that we put out.
Yeah. So the single was kind of just to get out, so you had something to tour on, really, right?
Yeah, essentially. We have done things very backwards in our careers, but somehow it keeps kind of working.
No, I think it's awesome. It's so interesting because, like, I mean, you said it before. That's just not really how it happens anymore. You know, like
Yeah.
It's really cool. So that was the first tour. So with Lecrae and Switchfoot, was that what you said?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You played an arena your first.
First tour, legit first tour we played in an arena, and I think again we kind of got like what's the word I'm looking for? Another word, but we kind of thought that was like our MO again. It's like, okay, well, we did that, and then we booked a tour with Crowder, and we were on a tour bus in the fall. So summer was Switchfoot and Lecrae, and then the fall was Crowder on a tour bus. And it's like, I guess we're here now. Like,
we have the band already.
We made it. Jasmine quit her job, and then we got done with that Crowder tour, and it was like silence again. It was like so like definitely ebbs and flows. I think we learned from that one was like we're just gonna keep grinding. Like it's I don't think there's there after a certain point maybe there is of like you can kind of cruise, but like the trail is like this, not necessarily just like a slow build.
Yeah. And then after that, you guys just started touring like all the time, right? Like,
yeah, there's another little pause, but yeah, then we hit the like club circuit and we're just like grinding.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the so what time was it kind of like, I mean, you said you guys had those moments collectively of like, oh, I guess this is what we do now. But is there a time where you kind of felt like, okay, this, like, we're doing it now. Like, this is it. Or was that at the very beginning? Did you do everything?
I think honestly we still have those moments. Well, obviously not now because we don't really tour right now, but like we'll be driving after a show to the next city and be like, dang, we're really out here doing it. Like this
Yeah.
isn't just a dream. Like we literally have dreamt of moments like this of like jumping in the van and driving to the next
Mhm.
city because we wanted at the beginning of it we were just like we're going to be a black colony house essentially and they always posted about having to drive through the night and all this just grind or whatever. You're like, yeah, we're going to do that. And so that was always like kind of just like on the horizon of like something we wanted to do. Like
Mhm.
we're going to be a band, it's going to get gritty and we're just going to like eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
uh and so yeah, I think probably that first tour where we were just driving and it was just the four of us. It was like I want to say it was like Robert Randolph, um, and we looked up and all of a sudden it's like I'm booking the hotels and it's like just you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the other tours were pretty cush. We had on our first tour we had like a road manager and my great uncle came out to drive us because we were so like, young we couldn't like rent a vehicle yet. um, and then the second tour was like a tour bus, so it's like that was like the luscious thing I've ever experienced of like waking up at 11 walking into to the venue and being sad that I missed breakfast but lunch was up. So uh yeah, that was a crazy. Sometimes I wouldn't wake up till like 2 p.m.
Right, just in time for sound check, and then
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, when we finally got like in the van ourselves and we're like just doing it ourselves, I think that's when it like locked in for us. Like, this feels like we're really doing it for for real.
yeah, that's so funny because even that's like backwards. Like
Yeah,
most people grind it out in the van, but you guys kind of did the opposite. And once you got in the van, it was like, oh yeah, this is what it's about.
this is right. Yeah, this feels right.
Yeah, I mean, and you've toured with Colony House a couple times now, right? So the
I went out on a run just with me taking pictures for him,
oh
and
okay,
then we've done like festivals. But we did one like official tour now like 2 years ago,
gotcha.
and that was so fun.
Yeah,
That was like definitely a full circle moment. I feel like we a little bit still wanted to be them on that tour, just a little bit. There's still a little bit left of that. Um, but now I feel like we fully matured into like our own vibe and our own thing. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, that was so fun. It just felt like summer camp, like a traveling summer camp, and then we got to play shows every night.
yeah. What's some of the best? What's like a standout show that you guys have played?
Mm. Uh, the first thing that pops into my head is playing Red Rocks, just
And you put
because that.
you've done that a couple times, right?
Yeah, we've got to play it twice.
It's crazy.
Um, that is another moment where I was like, okay, we just get to play Red Rocks every year because I think we played it 2017 and then we played it 2018 or maybe it was 18 and 19. No, I think it was 17 and 18. I was like, okay, I guess we're just gonna do every year. We're gonna have a tour that we end up playing Red Rocks. Um, but yeah, I think that place is just like special. I and probably to me because people hype stuff up so much,
Mhm.
and for me, typically, it can never live up to the hype. I'm like, okay, well, I've heard like so many people be amazed and everything, so I kind of rolled in like, I'm sure it'll be beautiful, it'll be epic, but it is what it is. And then you get in there and you're like, dang, like this is next level. I've never seen anything like this. And then you say like everything that everybody's ever said to you, pretty much. Uh, that stuck out. I remember the second time we played, that was like more of like a better show. Was it? Or maybe the first time. We were just just juiced on like seeing this wall of people like, and then being in this like beautiful venue. It was that's just like a wild thing.
Yeah, I bet. It's crazy. What
Yeah.
about the best like tour, our favorite tour that you've been on?
That's Colony House 1,000%. And really, actually, I can't even say that anymore. Because we did another tour with Toby in Wegway, and that was awesome. I think what makes a tour for me is like everything that's happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because playing the actual show for us a lot of time is like 5% of what touring is, if that, because we're opening a lot, so it's like 30 to 45-minute sets.
Yeah.
But we have 5 to sit in the van driving, and then you got like an hour and a half of sound checks and tearing down and merch, and so the right musical fit is important, but like the right backstage environment is probably more important, just because
Gotcha. That's
being with the wrong people like that, it can be terrible. But I feel like Colony House was still probably in the top, just because we wanted to do that for so long. I feel like I found a paper recently, like from 2015, of like bands we wanted to tour with, and they're on that list. So we've been wanting that for a while.
That's awesome. What's been the like what was like the most surprising band that you toured with, or like someone that you were like, I mean, I don't know, maybe it could have, I mean, I hope good or bad, I guess, but I know you don't find me under the bus. But what was someone, maybe a band that was like, oh, we didn't really think we'd go well with these guys, but then we went on tour and it was cool, or like something like that.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the tours that we've been on have kind of been like that, and part of it is because I think playing live instruments just translates in so many arenas for some reason. Like, you can put us on like a pop show and it works there, and then you can put us on like, we opened for wow, I'm blanking on their name. Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, nice.
We opened for them, and it's like, I get the correlation, but like it really shouldn't have worked like it did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're all the way in it. Like, we are from a time machine. We're just like, we're a 70s rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And we like kind of had moments of that, but that wasn't like our full show.
Mm-hmm.
But that, like, people ate it up, and I was like, all right, it works here too.
That's cool.
And then as far as like a band that like I never saw coming, it's probably OAR.
Okay.
That was like, we were like, okay, like y'all, because they reached out to us, and it was like, all right, well, cool. And then we went out, and it worked there too. So yeah.
That's super cool, dude. That's all those. It's cool just to see, like you were saying, or like we've been saying, just kind of the progression and the quickness of it. Even though it might not have felt quick in it, but
yeah.
So you're doing this and you guys were touring, playing shows, and then when did you guys put out an EP, right? First. Yeah, and then when did the first record come out, or the record that you guys have out?
I want to say 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was recorded in LA, or?
It was half here and half LA.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what label was that put out by? Like, who's that?
Technically Credential Recordings,
Okay.
but it's all under like capital CMG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So that goes out, and then you toured that a little bit. Have you guys done a headlining tour?
we've done bits and pieces, and we were planning to this summer, but all that's kind of on ice right now.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, but it is a big difference, like on the headline stuff. Even if it just feels a lot different, and like people interact differently, which is interesting to see. Because we got so used to opening all the time that we were just kind of like, this is a nice gig. Like I know what my check is gonna look like. It's consistent. We roll in, and like if we feel like it, we can dip out early and get on going. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just crazy seeing people show up to like sing the songs that you made in your, or like thought of in your room, or like for us, a lot of these songs, some of these songs origins were in the White House. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, some of them have tagged along the whole ride. So
that's crazy. That's really cool. So the first record comes out, doing that thing, which is, awesome. And then was it a while before before you guys put out more stuff? I mean, I know you have the singles out right now, but
yeah, we're just now like starting to put out more music. We put that out in 2018, and then 2019 was all just like trying to figure out what we were gonna do.
Gotcha.
And so that was another like thing where it's like we put out Trouble, and we had like placements and all this stuff on that first one, and then like nothing really else ever hit like that again. And so that was like another moment of like thinking like that was just our vibes. Like great, like we're just gonna be placement, living it up. And then we put out the record, and I'm still proud of it, and like it's great. I think sometimes working with the whole label thing, it can just put different like expectations or like goals on your thing, like in your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for them, but so we're fortunate we just get to keep pushing, and we have more music coming out and trying to just keep going.
So sick, dude. So the last one, No Drama, came out recently, which is, and I feel like it's a little different than what you guys did before. So
yeah, I think we have just like settled in who we are, and I feel like we tried to be like the cool kids for a while, and like be like, we're not smiley and like all black, and you know what I mean? Yeah. And like when you hang with us, like that's just not our vibe really at all. And so we're just trying to let our personality shine through, and like we're just like happy people. We like having fun, and we want that to shine through in the music and just be more authentic. So we're starting to turn the ship a little bit more towards that way. I think it is going to be hard. Like the rock and roll vibe, like those parts are still going to live on. Like it just like, it always works live. So, and we have so much fun doing it that it's like, we can't just like turn it all the way off. But I think we're just trying to be like us, and then there's going to be like shades all over the spectrum because of that.
Yeah, that's sick. The video's sick too.
Thank you.
I just watched it the other day. It's good. Sick. Dude, that's awesome. So what, I gotta ask you this, because you're the only dude in the band.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get this question all the time, but I mean, you have like 20 sisters, so you're used to being.
Yeah. I do.
Well, what's that like?
It doesn't feel crazy to me, because I have 20 sisters, like you said, and I don't have any brothers. So it's like, I kind of like made for this, like for me to be able to do this easily.
Yeah.
But then two, there's just so many guys on the road that it doesn't feel like I'm the only dude. Like the only times where it like feels like I'm the only guy is like in the van and in like the hotels. But other than that, they're outnumbered.
They're still outnumbered.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but it's definitely like a different perspective. I think I'm just like have to be aware of more stuff.
Yeah.
Because some people are not like sick dudes out there, unfortunately. So I'm like kind of on guard duty a little bit and just like paying attention. And not to say that they couldn't handle themselves, but just like out of me being like big brother and cousin, I just naturally want to like watch out for them. So
Yeah, literally big brother.
yeah, literally big brother.
So how does the uh like the writing and I mean I think part of what's so cool about you guys is the chemistry because you guys are all related. Like as far as live and stuff. But for the writing and stuff, is it easier, do you think, to that you guys are so close, or do you think it's harder? Like do you think it's more of a challenge
Yeah,
or
I think we've eased into it now. I was gonna say there's like a built-in trust factor, but that's not fully true. Like there's definitely, because there's like DNA between us, there's definitely a level of like I got your back. But with art it's just different. You have to build that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've built it now to where we're all more open-handed and let people lead where they need to lead. And so that has spilled over into writing where it's like Jasmine and Zandy are like the writers of the group. Not to say I can't or Lexi can't bring an idea, but like that's just their gifting. They like breathe out songs. And so we let them do that, and then they bring it to us, and then we're like, okay, tight. And then we get to like work on it together and build it out into what like the new Respects would sound like doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of let them like steer the ship, and we get to have like a paddle and be like, okay, we'll try to direct with you, or like, I think maybe we should go this, like what y'all think, and like it's very communal with it.
Yeah. That's a good point too, because I feel like the music is maybe even less than half of what it is really being in a band.
Yeah.
But what's cool about you guys, and I think when bands are successful, it's like when each person can play their part and do their part really well.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys, because Lexi does even she's into the fashion stuff and doing the styling, and you're just freaking good. So I feel like you like just hold down the back with playing the drums and doing the video stuff and the visuals and all that. I don't know. I think that is cool where you guys each kind of have your lane outside of the music as well, that like adds to the dynamic that is.
Yeah. I think that's from what I've seen of bands that have been doing it a long time, that is like a big key ingredient. Like Switchfoot, having talks with them, and they're like kind of having the same breakdown of like John is doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to writing, and then like Tim Him will do production stuff, and then Chad, I think Chad does like a lot of booking stuff. So like they break it off to where everybody has their jobs and they can like kind of stay in their lane. And the same thing with OAR, who've been a band forever. Like there's still that kind of breakdown. And I think the quicker you can learn that, like that's key, because everybody wants ownership. And I think a lot of times like people think that the music is the only way to have that ownership, but the music, even though like that is our platform, that's like 10% of what we're really doing. And especially now with like content really being king, like we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And doing all that.
Yeah, it's sick. I think it's just finding like where people can play to their strengths, which is cool, Like,
yeah.
That's sick. Dude, so what's I gotta get like one good tour story. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
Oh,
I just a band story, just something that's like you wish somebody was filming, or maybe it was wish somebody was there to see.
oh man. I'm gonna keep thinking, but this is the first thing that popped to mind. I think because of I'm talking to you, but with that first show, it was the first time Lexi was playing bass, and uh, she wasn't used to like having bass amps with like the separate cab and the head,
Yeah.
and she just completely forgot to turn her bass on. So for a whole song, she was just like essentially air guitar because she didn't turn it on. But what makes it worse is we were so amped about playing a show and playing our music that we were like, no, no, no. The bass is a key part. Let's play the song again. But this time with the bass turned off. So like immediately after pretty much we turned on her bass and then played the exact same song again. Oh man.
That's amazing. I do remember that for sure.
Yeah, so that's one of them. I'm trying to think of something good. Well, I think this was the first tour that we did by ourselves. Um, and so I was super green with like booking hotels and all that jazz. And so I was on like hotels.com, like swiping, and I found a hotel. The pictures looked decent. I was like, it was a good price range, and it was a Ramada. And so we go. I showed everyone the pictures because I was like, I'm not going down by myself. Like, are you okay with this? Okay, good. Are you okay? Are you okay? We all go around, and then we get there, and it's a Ramada Inn, and like the vibe was just like incorrect. So we're all trying to like just push through it, and then uh, we're like winding down, and then our neighbors like you just hear them having like a lot of fun all night, and I'm just like, what have I done? Like I was not. Like, I thought it was a nice spot. Like I was trying to make it work, and then also we had a photographer with us at this point, so it was like the girls were sharing a bed, so 3 of them in one bed, and then me and the other dude in the other bed. So we were like packed out, but we've never stayed in a Ramada Inn after that. Don't get tempted by the prices, guys.
That's so funny. Oh, dude, that's. Are you still doing a lot of the kind of road management stuff, or do you guys have someone go out with you now?
I still do it.
You do it.
Yeah,
Sick.
part of it, I think we just had we like the 4 of us is just such a solid crew that it's like it's kind of scary to bring someone else in because we just got a vibe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everybody knows where they go. Everybody knows what they're gonna do. Uh, so the idea of bringing up someone else in can be like a little nerve wracking, but I think we will pass just like the road manager stuff. Uh, having front of house, our own front of house guy is huge. So um, when we start gearing back up and figuring all that out, that'll definitely be a part of it. Just because our at first it doesn't matter as much. Well, it always matters, but you don't even realize what you're missing. But then as time goes on, like you want to start exploring stuff in that world and not just like you want more control over the whole show.
Yeah.
Or I found myself wanting more control of the whole show. And like giving the front of house guy at the clubs little like directions isn't always enough. Even though we've been fortunate and we haven't had many bad experiences. Like we've had way more good ones than bad, but still wanting that like final little edge of being like, okay, you know the songs, so
Yeah.
now we can really like dig in and make it a vibe and make sure everything is translating. Like, we don't have to worry about Zandy's solos not being loud enough in the house, because that's always awkward when like you just can feel that she's like up there giving it her all, and it's like out the house, she's like it's terrible.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, dude, this is awesome, man. What I'm trying to think of anything that I missed. You guys have played stuff in Latin America, right? Haven't you been to like Colombia or something?
Yeah.
Is that a trip? Was that one of those other moments where it's like, man, I can't believe we're getting to travel not just in the West but around the world?
Yeah, that was definitely a crazy moment. I saw that email and they emailed us directly, and I was like, I forwarded it to our booking agent and was like, this is probably spam, because it was talking about like, hey, we're with the U.S. Embassy, and I was like, okay, whatever. And so I was like, this is probably spam, but I forwarded it on anyways. And they came back a couple weeks later and was like, actually, that wasn't spam, and they want you guys to come down.
Wow.
And they actually want you to do this. And that was just mind-blowing. First of all, to see like the power of music firsthand, because man, the language barrier was thick. But seeing people like, once you pick up the drum or sticks and start playing, like rhythm is like universal, and so to see people start dancing and like having fun and following along with the songs somehow was incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I want to go back down there. We still like, some people will still like comment like, we saw you in Barranquilla or like Bogota, and like, come back. I was like, man, I would really love to if we could. It's just not that easy.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's cool, dude. So what's I mean, obviously you're missing a tour right now, but kind of like, what's ahead? Like, what's something you guys want to do, or something that might be already be in the pipeline, or
Yeah. Oh, well, we're still putting out new music. We have a song coming out tomorrow.
Sick.
And then we're like trying to still figure out how to create. I was like in here trying to figure out how to make drums sound good.
Nice.
In the bedroom today. So like still trucking along. And we have like a song due low-key this week or like probably next. So we're like scrambling to figure out how to record and all that jazz while we're still like social distancing and all this. So
do you guys pretty much get to work with who you want, or are you in the like label pretty tight on that, like as far as producing and stuff?
Yeah, we have a solid bit of control. But it always has to like come up to like the standards of what the label wants. Yeah. So like we can't just like pick whoever we want all the time, because they're paying for stuff they just have a little bit of a say in it.
Yeah, for sure.
But they do trust our ears and judgment and let us work with it. Fortunately, we have like a great track record with Jeremy, who he did our EP and like half of our last record, and we kind of just like stuck with him. So they're like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. And so we're kind of working with that. But
and you're doing some producing too, right?
I'm starting to, yeah. I think in a band, I feel like when you're hands-on in the recording process, if you're in the band, you're kind of a producer no matter what.
Yeah.
But I'm starting just to step into that role more and kind of try to guide the ship in the direction that we want, working with our producers. And eventually I'd love to produce other people's records. I'm just trying to get like my skill set up to par with what I would like to put out.
What did you do on the song you guys did with Toby? Did you do the video or the music?
I did part of the music. So I started, like, we did a writing session, and I had that beat like with the sample thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we were in LA and Toby came over there and we just like wrote to that beat. And I remember we were just like on YouTube, like, because he was like, I normally just write to like instrumentals and then we can always flip it or whatever. And so we were doing that, and then I had that beat and I was like, I mean, what y'all think about this? And then played it. I was nervous because I'd never done anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yo! I was like, okay, it's good. All right. And so, yeah, that was a crazy experience, too, to see my name on something that, like, wasn't – we were featured on the song, but it wasn't, like, ours.
Yeah.
So it hits a little different when it's, like, someone else, like, chose your ideas, not, like, the band that you have, like, 25% of the, like, creative control, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was it like working with him? Was it cool?
Yeah, it's great. He's like fun to work with and kind of crazy a little bit. But we love him. It's like family. It is family at this point.
Yeah. Grace showed me a video of him like giving you guys a hard time about like your Instagram or something.
Yeah. He brings that same energy no matter what. So it's like that's what it is.
Grace, I guess he posted or something, but she saw it, and he was like saying like, if I see you guys one more picture, you guys don't fit. Like,
right. The next thing is like, there's a compliment there if you dig enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just gotta dig for the compliments.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude. So obviously you guys will keep doing your thing, and then you personally getting into more producing and that kind of stuff. That's what you want to do?
Yeah.
That's sick.
I think my whole goal is like to kind of just like nobody really knows what I do in the sense of just like having my hands in a bunch of stuff. I think my mind just works best like that. And fortunately, our band has allowed it to work that way and like expand past where I would be just like on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the sets and stuff for music videos and stuff, like I wouldn't be able to pull that off by myself. Like I'm not on that level, but because we've created something together, I'm able to like go to LA and like see our visions come to life for videos that we've dreamt up and do cool photo shoots and all that jazz, way bigger than what I could just do on my own. So I'm hoping we can just get to a point where that can be my calling card and then it'd be like, oh yeah, you did all that? Oh, yeah, cool. Well, come over here, try to do this. Like, okay, bet.
Yeah, that's cool. And just like work with other bands and projects and stuff.
Yeah. Hope like just get to a point where people want to hire me for like what I do versus like having to come into a situation and figure out what it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's just like so much easier when it's like, oh, I know Nolan, he does like this is his vibe. He would be great for this project. Boom, come and do it. Versus like, hey, I do photos, like hire me for everything.
Yeah.
Even though I get the grind, but I'm just like fortunate to have like a main hub where I can put all my energy in, and then hopefully as that grows, that'll kind of cover other things.
Yeah, the band kind of gives you a platform to get into other.
Yeah, way bigger than what I like than my own platform just by myself.
Yeah, that's sick, dude. That's awesome, man. Well, this was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm stoked to see what you guys do. And I haven't seen you guys play live in a long time. So once all this is over and you guys play.
Yeah, come to the show. Yeah,
Dude,
this next song that we're putting out is like my favorite song that we've done so far. So
sick.
I'm excited about it.
Sick.
Jasmine's little brother is on it.
Nice.
In the fam.
That's awesome, dude. Dude, I always think about how anytime you guys play live, when you sing, even if it's like one line, everybody goes crazy in the crowd. Like, what's the song? Is it Sail? No. What song is the one where you guys all like take a like a verse or something, or like you might not even play it anymore, but
Was it was it like at a show that you went to a long time ago, or was it off the
yeah,
record?
yeah, you guys used to play it. No, I think it is on the record though. I can't think of the name of it. But anytime I've seen you guys play that song, you right when you start singing, everyone's like, "Yeah, Jerry!" It's sick, sick, dude.
Funny.
Well, dude, I'm stoked. Obviously, for you guys, it's been cool. Because from afar, I've been seeing it from the beginning, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you have.
It,
We didn't even know how to play our instruments.
yeah, dude. What's so funny is like, I mean, and obviously, anytime you're in a band, you think you're the best thing ever. But when you're young, But I just remember at the time it was like we were playing and we were playing together and stuff, and it was just like, man, we feel like we play better than these guys. Like, why are these guys? not in like we don't like you guys way, but like just it's just like, man, I'm pretty sure Eric plays guitar really well. Like that is. But it's been low-key been super cool. Like, and I think it's awesome, like the way that you guys did it. And it's kind of like I don't know, not to be in a corny way, or not to sound corny, but it's a way of saying like, if you just go for it and put in the work, like you can do it,
Yeah.
And that's what you guys did. And now, I mean, you guys are, like I was joking around earlier, it's like to see where you guys have taken it has just been awesome. And how good you guys all are is, super cool. So it's pretty awesome.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I forget and get like, just because I'm here, that's what I'm thinking about, like in this here moment. But when you zoom out and be like, dang, we've come a long way. Like, if I would go back and tell 2016, 2015 Darius, be like, one day you'll be talking about like tours canceling because of this crazy sickness, but you already have played like Red Rocks twice, you've toured with Switchfoot, X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I think I would have been like, what?
Yeah, dude, it's cool. It really is stuff. And I don't know, it's cool. You always kind of have that like hometown, even like tribe, even though it's not like we hang out anymore or that much anymore, but it's like still that like those are like that's our guys that are doing it, like that kind of thing.
Sure, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's sick. So let's keep on making stuff, man. It's
yeah,
dude,
that's all we can do.
Yeah.